In a quiet village nestled between mist-covered mountains and terraced rice fields, there lived a boy named Li Wei. Every morning before sunrise, when the sky was still pale and unsure of its color, Li Wei sat at a wooden table beside an open window. Outside, bamboo stalks swayed softly in the wind. Inside, a sheet of white rice paper waited, and beside it rested a brush, a small inkstone, and a bowl of dark liquid as deep and still as midnight. Li Wei did not like mornings. He did not like stillness, and he especially did not like calligraphy. His grandfather believed calligraphy shaped more than handwriting. It shapes the mind, grandfather would say. But Li Wei would rather race through fields, chase dragonflies, laugh loudly with friends near the riverbank. Instead, he dipped the brush, pressed it gently to paper, and tried to form perfect characters. They always leaned or smudged or bled too thick. Again, grandfather would say calmly, always calmly, never angry, just steady. Again. Li Wei's shoulders would tense, his jaw would tighten. Why must every stroke be slow? Why must every movement be deliberate? Why could he not simply write quickly and be done? One morning, after blotting yet another imperfect character, Li Wei pushed the brush down too hard. Ink splashed across the page. He stood abruptly. "I will never master this," he burst out. The bamboo outside rustled gently. Grandfather did not scold him. He simply looked at the page. "Then sit," he said softly, "and begin again." But Li Wei did not sit. He stormed out of the house. The air was cool. Mist clung low over the rice fields. He walked toward the bamboo grove beyond the village path. The grove was quiet. Tall green stalks stretched skyward like slender towers. The wind moved through them in soft waves. Shh, shh. Li Wei sat near a small pond at the center of the grove. The water was smooth, clear, still. He stared into it, and then a voice broke the silence. "You rush like wind through leaves." Li Wei turned sharply. Across the pond sat a large panda, calm, unmoving. Its dark eyes watched him with surprising gentleness. "You speak," Li Wei whispered. "Only when necessary," the panda replied. Li Wei blinked. "I hate practicing," he confessed. "I want to be good now." The panda dipped a bamboo stick into the pond. Ripples spread outward, slowly, steadily. "Does water rush to shape stone?" the panda asked. Li Wei shook his head. "No, it shapes by persistence," the panda continued, "not force." The ripples touched the pond's edge, then faded. "Discipline is quiet," the panda said, "but it changes everything." Li Wei frowned. "But it is boring." The panda tilted its head. "So is planting rice," it said, "until harvest." Li Wei watched the water again, still, patient. He remembered how long the rice seedlings took to grow. He remembered waiting through entire seasons, yet every year the harvest came. The panda rose slowly. "Return tomorrow," it said, "and begin again." Before Li Wei could respond, the panda stepped behind the bamboo stalks and was gone. Li Wei sat still for a long time. The wind moved gently through leaves. The pond remained steady. When he returned home, his grandfather sat by the table, waiting. Li Wei lowered himself quietly into the chair. He dipped the brush. His hand trembled slightly, but this time he did not rush. He pressed the brush slowly, deliberately. The stroke curved unevenly. "Again," grandfather said softly. Li Wei inhaled, exhaled, again. Day after day he returned to the bamboo grove. Sometimes the panda appeared, sometimes it did not, but the pond remained, still, patient, and Li Wei began to notice something. His breathing slowed when he wrote. His shoulders relaxed. The brush no longer felt heavy. It felt alive in his fingers. Each stroke required attention, balance, control. He began waking before sunrise without complaint. The mountains glowed faint pink as morning light crept across their peaks. Birdsong drifted softly from distant trees, and Li Wei sat at the table. Ink, paper, brush, again. Weeks turned to months. One afternoon, as golden light filtered through the window, Li Wei practiced the character for strength. His hand moved steadily. The lines were firm, balanced, clean. Grandfather leaned forward. He said nothing, but he nodded. That nod felt warmer than applause. That evening, Li Wei returned to the bamboo grove. The panda waited by the pond. "You see now," it said. Li Wei smiled faintly. "It is not about being fast." The panda's eyes gleamed. "It is about returning." The wind passed through bamboo. Shh. Li Wei looked at his reflection in the water. He looked calmer, stronger. Not because he had become extraordinary, but because he had become consistent. Years passed. Li Wei grew taller. His strokes grew more confident. Visitors from neighboring villages came to see his work. They admired the elegance of his characters, the flow of his lines. "How long did it take you to become so skilled?" one traveler asked. Li Wei paused. He thought of early mornings, of frustration, of the panda, of the pond. "Every day," he replied simply. Discipline had not shouted. It had not rushed. It had moved quietly through his life like water shaping stone. One winter evening, long after he had surpassed his early impatience, Li Wei sat again before blank rice paper. Snow fell softly beyond the window. He dipped the brush and wrote the character for peace. The stroke flowed like a river, balanced, certain, complete. Grandfather watched in silence. Then he bowed slightly. "You have learned," he said. Li Wei returned the bow, not proudly, but gratefully. That night, he walked once more to the bamboo grove. The pond was partly frozen, the air crisp. The panda stood near the water's edge. "You no longer rush," it observed. Li Wei nodded. "I no longer need to." The panda smiled. "Then you understand. Discipline is not punishment. It is practice. It is returning when you would rather leave. It is steady effort when excitement fades. It is water shaping stone, and as snow settled gently across the mountains and the bamboo swayed in quiet rhythm, Li Wei felt something deeper than pride. He felt mastery, not over others, but over himself. And in that quiet village between mist-covered hills, a boy who once hated stillness learned something profound. Talent begins, discipline transforms. The brush rested easily in his hand. The ink flowed steadily. And like the river that never rushes yet always reaches the sea, Li Wei continued, "Thank you for listening. I am Jidena.